So hi all, welcome back to the Tech Life channel. So in our previous video, we saw about the Terraform basics. We saw how to create one main code, all the contents available in the single main code, which is called as a main.tf code. Now let's see about the Terraform Advanced part. So in Terraform Advanced, this is the chapter 1. So in this chapter 1, what will be we are going to see about, we will divide the code into separate files. We don't create one main file. We can split the code into multiple files. So let's see, today's session is how to create multiple files to create an infrastructure. So the first one is this chapter 1 can be splitted into two sessions. The first session is launching an EC2 instance by understanding the variables, and then launch EC2 instance with one shell script by provisioning. So let's start the code. So in the chapter 1, what are the things we are going to see is the variables. So how the variables playing the important role in Terraform infrastructure as code. So let's check. In our previous session, we are creating one code which has a main code. So all the contents, all the details will be available in that code. So for example, provider is also available in the same code, and then resource. So main code always contains the resource. So let's check. For example, providers contains so this is the providers. What the provider we are using is AWS, and we are mentioning the region. So these all the details is contained in the main code. So in this session, what we are doing, we can divide the code. Divide the code separate files. So the each files contains specific parts. For example, in the previous code, let's check, all the thing contains in the same code. So provider and resource all will be calling in the same code. But here we creating one variables. So in that variables, we can call all the variables files from the main code. So for example, how can we divide? First one is for provider. For provider, there is a separate file, and then main code. For main code, there is a separate file, and then variable. So variable contain a separate file. So for that, let's start the session, how to create the provider files, variables, and everything. Before that, let's have a differentiate between the main code and the dividing parts of the separate code. So the first thing is the main code. This one contains provider like this. So I just copy paste this. So it's already there. So in that, let's see the documentation. So for that, provider can be available in different cloud infrastructures. So in our session we are using AWS provider. So in previously how we create that providers means we create one EC2 instance in AWS console, and we gave one IAM role. So in that IAM role, we gave all the administrator privilege to access the AWS console via that EC2 instance. So for that, we mentioned the provider detailed like that. So in this session, we will see how to manage the AWS console via the IAM user. So IAM user means we can generate a access key and secret key. So this access key and secret key will contain the administrator privilege of the AWS console. So for that, we can access the AWS entire console, not only in that EC2 instance. We can create, we can accessing the AWS console via our laptop or whatever. We don't need to log in the AWS console and creating the EC2 instance. Then we can access the uh, other services in the AWS. We can access the entire AWS console via the our laptop or whatever we can. So let's check. But in that session, we are creating the EC2 instance, one Terraform server. Then we can accessing the entire thing via the access key and secret key. So let's check. So the first thing is in the EC2 instance, launch the EC2 instance. So here I'm using Ubuntu server 18 version I'm using. So the default settings will be same for this server. I'm giving the tag as Terraform server. So I'm giving the security as default. So default security group I'm giving. Then launch existing, creating one new pair. Terraform server and download the key. Then launch the instance. Let's check. Server is ready. So before that, going to security group, and I want to edit that inbound rules. So here add rule, and I'm allow the SSH. I'm checking this. So I need this public IP to allow the SSH. again, I am creating on HTTP allow access also. Here, all save rules. So previously, what we did for this server, we create one IAM role and we attached via this. So like that, we attached the IAM role for that instance. So this instance can access the entire service of the AWS console. But here we can create IAM user provide access and secret key. So this access and secret key will create and execute accessing the entire AWS console without attach any IAM role or whatever in the EC2 instance. So let's check the IAM. Need to create the user. Previously we create role. So today we are creating user, and in that user we generate access key and secret key. Let's check. Add user. Terraform. So here I'm providing the access key. So programmatic enable and access key ID and secret access key. So these access key and secret key, what it's did means. So when if we having that access key and secret key, we can access this entire AWS console. Whatever we have, we don't need to log in the AWS console. We can access wherever in our local laptop or local desktop. We can accessing this AWS console by using the access key and secret key. So I can attach the existing policy. I am giving here entire. So this is for testing purpose and it's a learning purpose. So I am giving administrator access. In case if this access key and secret key is missing, or if some other person can easily accessing your AWS entire console via this access key and secret key. So this must be a hidden key. So we don't need to sharing or giving to any person. So now downloading this accessing key and secret key. I don't want to show or giving the access key for us because this is for the learning purpose, and I want to secure my console, so I don't need to share the access key and secret key, but I will explain how to use the access key and secret key to accessing the entire console. So let's done, but I'm generating the access key and secret key, so no need to attach the IAM role or whatever. So I'm creating an IAM user. So, and I'm generating the access key and secret key. So let's check. So before that, let's have a differentiate between the main code and the entire code. So in that main code, all that contains or contained in this same file. But here we are splitting. So first, how to create a provider separate file using the access key and secret key. For example, provider.tf means, let's check the documentation for provider. Yes. So So let's see how the providers looks like. So this is the previous thing we copy and paste here, but here we can using variable. So for that, it looks like this. That code, which looks like this. For example, provider, what is the provider? And then open brace. So region equal to which region we need to give, and access key equal to we already download the both access key and secret key. So we should mention the access key here and secret key here and this region here. But if we mention directly all the access key, secret key region means we can't use the code again for the infrastructure. The major reason for variable is we can accessing the code. The code can be reusable. So for the major reason, we are using the variable. In case if we have the entire code like main code like this means, so in future I want to reuse this code means I want to edit the main code. For example, I want to change the IP, entire subnets or availability zone or tags means I want to change the main code. So modifying the main code is not a good thing in the live live projects. So for that reason, we are using the separate files, but that means dividing the code separate files using the variables. So here variables is using for we using the code without the main code. So all the things will be available in the variables. So we are calling we are only calling the variables in the main and main subcodes. For example, here we are called the region. So this is the main code. But if we are using variables means the provider file will looks like this: provider underscore AWS. So open brace region equal to. So in that region, we don't need to mention the entire thing. So for that, we are calling the variables by this syntax. The variable calling syntax, which looks like this: dot AWS underscore region. So this is the variable syntax. So what we did in this code means, so previously simply call the region here. For example, US-West-2, we call the region here. But here we can't do like this because we can reusing the code by edit the variables only. Like that, the region, here we are calling the region in the variable file. So later we can create one variable file. In that variable file, we can mention the region source in that code. So what that dividing code will do, whenever if you executing the Terraform, this provider file first looks here, and then it's checking the variable, it's checking the region in this variable. So it's directly going to the variable and check the region, what's the variable content is there, and it will be executed. For example, the variable file looks like this. The major syntax common syntax for variable is how the variable files looks like this. Variable whatever the name we need to call the, for example, AWS region means AWS underscore region underscore space default. So in the default we mentioned this US hyphen west. So this is the common syntax. So what we mentioned means, so in that provider we didn't mention directly as the region, so we call the variable like that. So this is the syntax of calling variables and how the executable variables looks like. So variable AWS underscore region default equal to, here we are mentioned. So these will be directly calling here. So the region where dot AWS underscore region, it's directly coming here and search, okay, it's a US hyphen west hyphen 2. So like that variable file is using reusing the code, and we can split the code uh, into separate files. So what the main code contain? So for example, main code is creating an instance means instance.tf. So in the tf we are calling the resource. We already checked here. So in that main code resource, so this is the major code. For example, if we are creating EC2 instance means resource AWS underscore instance, we give one like my instance. So this we saw about that. That one is the reference name. So in that resource, we don't we are calling the variables. For example, the next thing is what is the AMI. So here we should mention the AMI ID. So what AMI ID you are using? We are using. So some launch instance. So this AMI ID P. So like this, the main code, it's looking like this. So here it's not like that. So directly we don't need to enter. So here we can call the variable. So the alternate way is we should call the variable. So for that, we don't need to enter this directly, and AMI equal to, you're calling the variable like this, dollar symbol, open brace, where dot AIM. So like this, we are calling the variable. And if the main code contains like this means how the variable file looks like. Variable open. What is that? It's here. So we are calling the AMI. So for variable file, it looks like here we mention AMIS close brace default. So in the default equal to here, you're calling the AMI ID. So like that, we can calling the variable from main code and that subcodes. So this is the example syntax. So the first session is launching EC2 instance using separate codes. So this code contains provider.tf and variable.tf and then the main code main.tf. So that main.tf will be calling as we are creating instance. So it's instance. So let's see how to create these codes. For that, first we should launch. We already launched the EC2. Let's log in the server and install the Terraform in that server for this thing. So I copy the IP. SSH. So before that, downloads. I give the permission for my PM key. Terraform. So hyphen server is today's thing. Then SSH. Username Ubuntu @ and paste the IP -i Terraform -server. Yeah. Now I logged in the server. Let's go to the documentation and go to Linux. We are using Ubuntu. Let's copy paste the installation process in. So we're using the repository. We are calling the Terraform installation. So previously we are using binary package. Simply download the binary package and move that particular package into one folder, the bin folder. So it will be executable. Here we can directly install the Terraform like this commands using the repository. So Terraform - version. So the version is 1.1.9. So here there is no directory. So we are creating a directory Terraform -codes. I move to that directory. And again, I'm creating one directory as EC2 launch. So we are the first session is launching the EC2. sorry, create the so what we did means creating one directory. In that directory, we can create all the files. So the first thing is need to create the provider. So here, what we do means we don't use the Visual Studio Code or whatever. We can write our own code without any mistakes. Terraform is actually a JSON file. So JSON file is not like that Ansible playbooks. That YAML file needs some mandatory syntax will be working fine, and the space, its allocation, all will be important. Otherwise, it will show through some errors. But here we can use it's not on too much of case sensitive. That space or not in the case sensitive. But Terraform also having some case sensitive. Whenever if you are using caps letter, so it should be in caps letter only. So let's check that we don't use the uh, Visual Studio Code here. We can create our own code by editing the logs. So first thing is provider.df. So in that code is provider. Provider is AWS. Then syntax will looks like this. Two space. Then what we are mentioned is access key, secret key. So already I mentioned here. So the provider file looks like this. It looks like this. So let's check region, access key, secret key, all will be mentioned here. So first thing is we want to mention the access underscore key equal to, here we don't need to mention directly like this my access key, because I am calling that access key from my variables. So how the syntax looks like this. So I am calling the variable. So for that, I mentioned dollar open brace variable dot. So here it's a case sensitive. So we should mention it in caps. Access underscore key. Close bracket close. And then same thing, secret key. Secret underscore key. Open brace. Sorry, first repeat dollar symbol brace where dot AWS underscore secret underscore key. Close brace. Again, you need to mention the region equal to one brace dollar where dot AWS underscore region. So this is looks like this. I don't mention the access key, secret key region directly here. I'm calling the variable. So the provider file looks like this. So I save it. Check the provider file. It looks like this. access key, secret key, region, it's available in the provider. So I mentioned the access key, secret key, but not calling it, because later we create one variable file. In that variable file, we can call them. So let's create the variable.tf. So previously, variable.tf file, the syntax must be looks like this. Variable, what we need to call that, for example, AWS, whatever service we need, so that we need to call space default equal to what we need to call that. So like this. So this is the syntax for variable. So how to create for region, AWS underscore region default equal to which region we want, access key, variable AWS underscore access key default equal to our access key, secret, and then secret key, same thing, variable AWS underscore secret key default equal to what is the secret key. But here we can mention the region directly in variable. But I told you access key and secret key is the important hidden files. We don't need to show the entire access key, secret key to other person. So if we are giving this access key, secret key, it's like we can give the password of our, that means the root password of the AWS console. So for that reason, I'm not mentioning the access key and secret key directly in the variables. So later this session, I can upload the code in my GitHub, in my source code management. So I can mention that code public means everyone can see my access key and secret key, and there might be there is a chance for misusing the console. So for that reason, here we are creating another file called terraform.tf vars. So this file, what we can do means we can mention the access key, secret key files, that means access key, secret keys. So this is the file for, we can store the keys, that means some hidden keys we don't want to mention in variables, means in this file we can use this without calling the variable. This one is the additional tf vars file. So let's check how this file will contain directly AWS access key and secret key. So before that, create the variable files. So variable, the first thing is AWS underscore access underscore key. So here I don't want to mention. So it looks like this. Variable is underscore secret underscore key. I don't want to mention the variable file, secret key, access key in the variable file. So it looks like this. But for region, I can mention here. So for that, space default equal to what is my region create a file us-east-1 us-east-1. So variable file looks like this. Variables, access key, secret key. I don't want to mention in the variable. For that, we will create one new file tf-vars. So in that file, I can call the access key and secret key, because this one is some hidden. I don't want to show my secret key, access key. So for that reason, I create one file. That file will contain my access key and secret key. Access key and secret key. So now I stop my screen sharing and I will mention my access key and secret key. Previously, I download the access key and secret key. So here is my access key and secret key. So I stopped share my screen and I entered the access key, secret key in that terraform.tf.vars file. So I mentioned my secret key and access key in the Terraform TF-vars. I don't want to share my secret key, access key. So later what we can do means, let's check, 3 files will be created. Provider.tf. The provider.tf file will contain the entire access key, secret key, calling by variable, and then variable file is there. So variable file can contain the variable contents, and the terraform.tf var file contain my access key and secret key. So this is what we do means, I don't want to upload or sharing my AWS secret access key. So I want to skip this process. So for that skip process, I create one terraform.tf vars file. And how to stop to upload this code in my source code management means, I'm creating one dot git ignore file, and in that file I mentioned the name terraform.tf-vars. So what it will do means, while uploading my code to the source code manage, this will skip this file. The terraform.tf wars file will not upload in that source code management. So for that reason only, I don't mention the access key and secret key in the variable file. So I skipping the variable file, it's not a good thing. So for that reason, I'm create one new tfvar file, and I mention my secret keys, access key, and I skip this process. So during the source code management. So that's all about this. So the next thing is you can directly create main code. So now we are creating the main code. The main code name is creating instance. So for that reason, I'm mentioned like this. So main code always looks like this: resource space. What we want to do, the first thing is AWS underscore instance. It's like the same. Main.tf. It's an alternate for instance.tf. So this code contains like this: resource space, whatever we want to that AWS, and then we can call the reference name. So we can give the refer name, and then you can directly call whatever you want, AMI, whatever. It looks like open brace, or where dot what we are. So this is the syntax. So like this we can create. So for that, let's check AWS instance. So AWS instance, the name will be given by my hyphen instance is the reference name. Those two space. So here I should mention the AMI value. AMI equal to the same thing, dollar brace where dot AMIS. So it looks like that, and save and close. So before that, let's check the variable. Did we mention the AMI? Yeah, we need to mention the AMI. Variable AMIS, open close, default equal to, here we should mention the AMI ID. It looks like this only, but we will see one new concept in the variable. That variable is input variable. What is that input variable? Let's check. Input variable. The input variable of the model as part of its user interface. You can briefly describe the purpose. So the input variables looks like whatever if we want, we need to mention the type. There are lots of type, there are string type, and then object. So lots of types, input variables types available. In our session, we are using one string. So what's that purpose means? string is called map. So why we are map means, let's go to the code. In this code, if we directly mention here AMD means the single AMD will be calling. So for example, here I mentioned one region. So in that region, US-East-1. So one AMD will be calling. So for example, I want to alternate. So I want to map a particular AMI using a particular region. So for that, how can I call the AMI ID using the region? So for that, I'm skip this process. So this is the common syntax, but here we are calling the one type, input variable type called map. So this is a string type. So this string type, what will we do means, we will call multiple regions instance. For example, first thing I mention US-East-1. So in that I pick one AMI instance. I choose the same Ubuntu AMI ID, same 18. So this AMI ID will be differ in each region. So now this AMI ID is available in US-East-1. Let's check US-East-1 equal to this one. For example, I want to another region. I want to go Mumbai region. So in that Mumbai region, I need to pick this instance AMI. For example, I'm choosing the same Ubuntu. So then only I will explain the difference between the AMI IDs in each region. So this is the same Ubuntu in AP-South-1. AP-South-1. So here the instance AMI is same. In two different region, I pick same Ubuntu 18, but the AMI ID will be differ for each region. So what will I do means, first thing is I mention this ID. So the string will be helpful. How it will work like this. We can mention multiple AMI ID like this. Mentioned the this ID. So what will it do means, when I'm calling the variable type, that means input variable map string, it will directly, here we can choose mention multiple things of regions and that on the regions AMI. So what it will do means, first, whenever if I mention type map string means the first thing it's directly go to here, the first step. So here we are mentioned the EC2 AWS region. So it will directly go to this region US-East-1 and again come here and it search here. So here is the US-East-1. So I want to pick this AMI. In case if I mentioned AP-South-1 here means it will be directly come here and choose this one. So this is the alternate way. So multiple region AMIs we can mention here using the map string and we can calling it using the variable region. So this is what we'll do means we'll call multiple region AMIs using the separate mentioned region. So whatever ID we will mention here like this. Next thing is Virginia, whatever. If I want to mention the AP-East-1, AP-South-, AP-Northeast, EU-West, we can mention this region and then availability, regions availability, and then that region specific AMI. So because AMI will be differ with each region. So this string will directly check whatever we can alternate. So later we can modify AP-South means it will choose this AMI and it will choose and it will create this instance in this region. So for that reason, we are using this map string. So save this thing. So the variable files is we created. So the next thing is we are going to the main code instance.df. So it's not completed, so I need to complete it. So the next thing is we call the AMI first. So where.ami, in the where.ami we already called the AMI ID. So this is direct. So directly if we mention this AMI dot where dot means it's go where.ami is. Where is that variable.ami? So directly go here variable where.a variable AMIs, and here we are mentioned one string. So in that string there are multiple things of AMIs and region is calling here. Na? So the main code it's not look like this. So if it looks like this means we should avoid the string and we can call only one AMI directly and that AMI will be calling here. But here we are using one string. So for that string we can use one lookup function. So this all the string lookup function will be available in different variable types. So here using one lookup function, what will be the lookup function will do means we should mention in the main code. That means in our variable file we are mentioning multiple things of AMIs and region. So we need to tag the region and AMI in the main code. How to tag using the lookup function means I want to clear this. So here I am using one lookup function variable. So lookup and then I call the variable file dot AIMS. So what will we do means AMS, go to AMIS where dot AMS and check AWS region also. So what it will do means it will directly, we are tagging lookup here, one string is available in the variable. So this lookup will go first AIMS. So first you should go to the AMS, and here one string is there. So directly go to the region, pick the region, and instead of that region, you can choose the ID, AM ID. So like that, you mention the lookup function here, and then instance type is, you can directly call the instance type here. So no need to any alternate. So default only we are using t2.micro. And here tags. Name equal to, I'm giving the node 1 hyphen Terra. Close brace. So here what will contain resource AWS underscore instance and the reference name. Here I am using the one lookup function for AMI calling. So it will be directly going to the variable and check the AMIs. So in that AMS, we already mentioned one input variable, that is string, a map variable. So it's directly going to the region, AWS region, and check the region, what the region is mentioned. So in that region, it can alternately choose what type of AMI, because multiple AMIs will be mentioned in the variable file. So for that reason, we are using this lookup file. Saved it. So the code, that's all about the code. Let's check the brief. There are 4 files is there. Main code is instance.tf, and one provider.tf file is there, which one is mentioned available in the region or whatever. Provider file contains this, contents, access key, secret key, regions, and variable files contain the string and variable strings, and then main code contains the whatever. So let's run the Terraform init command. So Terraform init is the initialization. So it will be installing the provider's plugins, AWS plugins, all the things. So once if we run the Terraform init, one file dot Terraform file will be automatically created after the Terraform init command. So the Terraform init command, all the plugins of the provider will be available in that uh, .terraform file. So the Terraform init file will be automatically created after the Terraform init command. So then need to plan in case if there are any errors is there means we can change. So what is the plan means? This plus plus symbols we already told about the plus plus symbols about the previous video. So these types of contents will be created. So AMID, this AMID, what I called in that here I am calling using the string US East -1. So I already mentioned 2 AMI, but using the string, the AMI, this AMI 156. The last two number is 156. So this AMI will be calling and create the instance. Other thing will be default. So key name, so within public IP, this thing I don't mention here. Tags. I give tags as node1-terra. So these types of details will be created, and the plan is one to add. So let's play. Confirm the apply. Now my instance is creating. So, and it's completed. Let's go to the console and check. Yes, the node is created. Let's check the tags. Tag name is node1-terra. Node1-terra. So the next thing is we need to modify out. We simply check one added. One added has been done. So the next thing is changeable files. So what we'll need to, we need to change something in our code. So in that instance, I add the another tag name. So this is to check how the change happens. For example, project equal to important. I just mentioned what so again I want to plan. So this plan is here it's mentioned. Yeah, one tag need to add it. So this is one to change. These types of changes added, how it's work I already told. It's work via this Terraform tf state file. So this is the important file I already explained about in my previous video. So let's apply the change. Yes, yes, the changes is done. Let's go to the instance and check the tag. Yeah, the name project important. It's done. So the changes also you can saw about that how the changes happen. So this is the first session. So how to launch one instance using the lookup function, variable, strings, all the things we are checked. And now the second session. The second session is launching EC2 engine with shell script by using the provisioner. Here one new concept we need to understand is provisioner. What is provisioner? Provisioner in Terraform. So what will be the provisioner will use means we can execute something whenever the easy to launch. We can execute some shell script or some commands, whatever we want to do. For example, I want to install a web server in that easy to launch. So the provisioner, what will it will do means when the installation of it will create one EC2 instance, and it will install the web server while the EC2 launch. We don't need to log in the EC2 instance after the EC2 instance creation and then manually we installing the web servers like that. So it's not like that. It whenever the EC2 launch, it will automatically create the web server also. So for that reason, provisioner is using. There are three types of provisioner. That is file local -execute remote -execute. So file means we can execute some shell script, uh, some files we need to. So this file is we can copy or copy the files from our server to the future EC2 instance. What you need to create that EC2 instance. When it create means these files will be automatically copied to the instance. So for that reason, file is using local executives. We can execute some local uh, thing. For example, the web server I want to install in. So the web server I want to install in the server, my Terraform server means it will automatically install something while the Terraform code running. So for that, local execute is using. Remote executing means I want to execute some shell script or whatever for that newly created Terraform. While I run the code, the new instance will be launching. In that launch, I want to execute some thing means the remote executable file will be used. So let's check one by one. So in that session, I want to copy one file from server to node 2, and then I want to execute one shell script in that. So how the communication or connection happens between server to node. So here we are using Linux. So SSH is the major thing to communicate. So for that, this one is a AWS console. So PIM key plays an important role. Both public and private key is using for remote executable communication. So for the first thing, we should create one, that means one key, and we can communicate the server and the node. So the first session completed. So what I did means I can create one new directory. This is the second session for provisioner. So what I will do means same code I can use, but there will be some alternate. That means modification need to be for that code. So I copy all the codes to provisioner. So in provisioner, all the codes are copied. But what we need to do means this one is a new session. So for the new session, I don't want to the TF state. In case the Terraform TF state file is there also means it will again modify the same thing. Previously one node created, so that node will be modifying alternately. So I want to delete the Terraform TF state file. So this is the new session. So but I can use and modify the same code. The first thing is I want to edit the main code. So in main code, what we need to mention, key pairing. AWS key pairing is the important thing. So let's check the syntax. So this key pairing, what it will do means it will communicate the server and node instance. So this is the syntax here. Source so like that. Here AWS source is AWS underscore key underscore blah, and here one logical name. Key name equal to whatever key we need to create that key name. Here public key directly. Here we mentioned the public key, but we don't do like that because we are using the variable. So it's the same thing only will be create. So let's check how to modify the code. Using resource space AWS underscore key underscore pair, and the name of the key pair is I'm giving test hyphen key or new hyphen key. Place close brace, space. Here key underscore name. So the same thing only, logical name also same, and the key name also I given same thing. And then public underscore key. So in the public underscore key, I will mention my variable syntax. One apostrophe dollar symbol. We're using file. So the public key file, open brace, apostrophe dollar symbol, where dot pub underscore key underscore path. Close brace, close brace. So what I mentioned here means the public key. So later we will create one public, that means private and public key. So I mentioned that public key and private key as a variable. So like this. So there are three methods. Public key equal to directly we can mention the public key. Public underscore key equal to, I will mention like this. So the variables looks like this. Open file, open brace. In case my file is in slash opt slash my file means I can mention like this also. But I don't want to mention the thing in my direct code. For that reason, I will mention my public key in my variable. So later I will create the variable file. So this has been done. So public key, private key will be created now. So let's check. This one is an AWS console. So for that, defaultly one less LRTA. So in that one dot SSH file is there. So the public key will be available in the authorized key. So this authorized key is the public key. So what I will do means I will create one file touch. Basically, I give the name new hyphen key is the key name pub. So I copy the content from authorized to new. So this is the public key. Private key. The private key is our PIM file. So our PIM file is Terraform server.pim. So what I'm doing means I'm copying the content from that PIM file. So this is the content of the my PIM key, content P, and I create one new file. So this file is called private key. Here I copy paste my entire private key. So I give the mode 400 to start. Give permission and I go to the code provisioner. That provisioner I copy the slash dot ssh content new key start. So I copied the new file. That means my public and private key. I copy that thing content in the folder, provisional folder. So now I am going to edit the variable file. So that variable file, what I need to mention. Variable my public key first, key underscore path space default equal to, where is my public key name is new -key dot pub, which is located in the same folder, and then private key enable your iv underscore key underscore path on cross space default equal to new -key is my private key name. So that's all about that. Public key, private key is created. The next thing is we need to specify the key name in the main code. Instance.tf. So what we did means var file mention the public and private key. So the next thing is go to main code and then need to mention the public key. Here we already mentioned public key file will be available in variable dot public key underscore path. It will automatically call, but we should call here the key name, key underscore name equal to AWS underscore key. We simply call the key. Here, this is the key resource we created, and here we call that same key. So AWS underscore key underscore pair dot, what is my logical name? Key. It's like this. So here we are doing like this now, VPC ID equal to AWS underscore VPC dot my VPC dot ID. So we can call like this, that so for that new -key logical name dot, again we need to mention the key name, key underscore name. So this will go here and choose this key and close the brace. So that key is directly calling in the main code. Key underscore name need to call key from main code to main code. So that one is completed. Next thing is, now we should mention the provisioner. For provisioner, three things is important. So you are executing some shell script or that file, and then remote -execute, and then connection is important because the connection will communicate the server. And so how the syntax of provisioner looks like this. First thing is provisioner space, what provisioner type? First one is file, means file. So we are copying from source. Here this is the example of provisioner. Provisioner file. So here it looks like this: provisioner file, source and destination. So the source will be the file where will be, and then destination. So let's check. What we will do means it will be available in the main code instance. Provisioner space, first thing is file, open cross brace, this first one is source. So source is, I am creating one shell script. I want to execute one Nginx web server script. That script later we can create the shell script, and this shell script I need to copy from my server to the node. Where I need to copy means in the node temp, it will be copied. So this is the provisioner file. So the next thing is creating the remote execute file. So the remote execute file looking like this. So in inline, what I will do the remote execute. If so, previously I mentioned that yes, my file web file shell script is directly copying to the destination, but we need to give permission to execute, and then we give some sudo permission. So for that sudo permission and whatever, we will give the inline command. So in that inline, I am giving the execution permission for the script, and then I am giving sudo permission for my .sh script. So let's check how to create the remote execute. Provisioner remote -exec space inline to embrace brace. So in that inline space, I am execute the, I want to give the executable permission for my first shell script. What I do means first I copy one shell script from my server to node. Then I need to give the executable permission which need to execute in my node 2. So for that reason, and then I give the sudo permission, then only it will execute. Sudo permission I give. So that's all about that. And the next thing is connection. So connection is very important. Without this connection, the server and node will not communicate. So connection type is SSH because we are using Linux. User, I want to mention which user. Ubuntu is the user because I'm using the AMI Ubuntu. And password, it's not mandatory because we will mention the private key here. And host name should be important. Let's check how to create the connection. Connection space. First thing is host. Host equal to the server host. We should mention the server host here. Talking. Paste the server host, then user. So user is, I'm using the same AMI, so Ubuntu. It will be directly mentioned here, or but in our case, calling through the variable. Same thing, where dot. But note down, still now we are not creating the user in variable. So that one is pending. And then user, you have to mention the private key. So it will be communicate via the private key. Already we create the private key and also mentioned in the variable file. So we can call the variable which we mentioned in the private. Apostrophe dollar brace where dot priv private underscore key underscore path close brace close. So that's all about the connection. Save it. So now I am directly going to the variable. So I want to create the user variable here. Variable user space default equal to Ubuntu is my user. So that's all about the code. So we'll creating the remote execute file, remote execute, and then connection. So before that, we don't, the dot git ignore file is there. That while copying that code, dot ignore will be skipped. So here I want to create the dot ignore. Not get it because I don't want to upload the my secret key access key here also. So for that reason, I mentioned the Terraform TFS. So it will skip the code here also, that file. So, and then next thing is I want to create one shell script. What the shell script contain means I want to execute on Nginx #bang /bin /bash sudo apt update y sudo install Nginx y. So this command is installing Nginx and activating, enabling the service. So the HTTP will be activated here for Nginx. Sudo checking the status and then systemctl start Nginx. So what I do means creating one shell script to execute. This is the shell script to execute the Nginx. So let's run the code. Before that, let's give the glance. Let's the same code I copied and provider I nothing did because I want to create the same provider. That means already using that. And in my main code, I added the key pair. Key pair is to communicate the server and node, creating node using the public key and private key. Then I create using the provisioner, file provisioner to copy the file from source to server to node. And then I'm using the provisioner executable. So while after the copying of the file, it will giving some accessing like executable mode and then sudo permission. Then I will give the connection between the server and the thing between the private key and public key. And let's check the variable file. In that variable file, I mentioned new public key, private key, and username. So before that, I want to do one thing to rename the instance name because node 1 it's already there. So for that, creating node 2. Like this. So variables we saw that. So tf var spell also there. And new key. So we create one public key and private key. Let's see the connection. Oops. Lots of error, multi-line string error is there. So I forgot something in instance.tf. Multi-line string is not there. Let's check what is the error. again is something in that vf file. Let's check the same thing, invalid multi-string error. This thing only previously I gave, but it throwing the same error. So let's check the errors in the file. I think the open brace is having some error. Let's check. I mentioned the open brace, close brace mistakenly. I forgot that. Close. Okay, tag is open. Close it. Close. Now I want to inserting a comma to mark in the beginning. Let's well in 32, 33, 35, 20, 32, line 32, 33. Think this will be the error. The brace close brace is the error. Let's check. 32, 31 instance expected comma 24. Okay, I didn't mention the comma. So here one comma will be there. So then only it will execute because. So let's check the 32, 34, 35, 34, 30, 30, 31, 32, 34. Yeah, 31 I mentioned the apostrophe. So that's the error. 32, 33. Let's check. Or not. Yeah, it's working. So these type of mistakes will break our head. So next thing is Terraform plan. Yeah, here also showing some error. What's that error? In that host not to be declared in the mode. Let's copy and paste the error. Let's go to the instance. Okay. Mm, let's check the error. What is that? Let's check. Remove the host and let's check. Missing requirement connection. Okay. Host is secured. Let's copy and paste. We need some clarification via the website. So this host is not found. Let's check the type. Destination connection. Debug. Host is secured. Yeah, host equal to Previously, I copied the wrong thing in the public private host. I copied that. So let's check. Yes. It's been declared in the root model. These types of errors. So let's check the instance again, once again. So the host previously the lookup file, key file will be done with key with pair key. Then the connection makes the error. What is that? Private underscore key equal to file. All the syntax, it's working good thing. Host is missing. New hyphen key dot permission denied. Line 3, there might be some error. 3 underscore key underscore. Okay, let's give the permission. the permission is that key file. So let's delete the file and here okay, once again I will explain execute the same authorized key. Then key now I copy the new icon *2/home ubuntu terrafiles provision. Let's /home ubuntu terrafiles provision. Let's check. Yes, the key is there. Now Terraform plan. Yes, so that's the issue. There is no permission. I don't create that, and so the permission makes the issue for the public key. So again I delete the public key. Such public key request status 400. Key is not. So there is a state lock. Okay, let's do one thing. We'll edit the variable file dimension, the key what this slash ssh slash ssh slash instance. It's fine. Okay, check. Okay, Terraform apply. Let's do one thing. Delete the state file. Everything deleted. Again, I copy .ssh keys dot this this operation is not permitted. Okay, I think wrongly delete the Terraform state file. So again I copy. C2. Star. Okay, again delete the file. So now it's deleted. I'm going to this place. Yes. Now be the authorized key to new hyphen key pub. So these both file need to ch1 ubuntu colon ubuntu start. Yes, let's check it. Start. I copy this slash professional. So again showing its invalid path. Okay, let's check. I think previously wrongly mentioned the public key. Yes, that's the thing. Previously, I mentioned the private key in the public key. So here you can, I missing the public key, wrongly copied that authorized key. So that's the error. It's breaking me for the last half an hour. So now it's working fine. So you need to careful to create that copying the authorized key as the in .ssh authorized key is the public key and our private key is our PEM key. So that is the issue I missed it. So let's check. When something happened, why that provisioning with file it's not creating. That file is not communicating to copy. So let's do one thing. In destroy the let's plan again. I think there is an issue in the connection showing timed out. So now I change the public IP because to mention the public IP of the instance. Let's check the networking. Where is the host name? Copy, paste. Model it's not declared. but now it's working. The issue is the host name which I mentioned there. So finally it's working. This type of error will create lots of issues. I think there is an host issue. That code I mentioned the host in that last. So that may be a error. So that's fine. Let's check the Nginx service. Yeah, and it's finally working. This type of errors nature, so need to short out the error. So I destroy the thing. So that's all about the thing. Let's see in the next video.